ultimately, nothing beats the phone. Nothing beats the phone. All sales is a conversation between humans, and the barrier to outbound isn't the technology.
Yeah.
It's the psychology. It's hard. It's the rejection. It's the fact that people would rather do 1,000 things that feel better than pick up that phone and be rejected. You've now given the most junior, most inexperienced person in your company the responsibilities to define your market, define the message, define the value proposition, to define the outbound strategy, the things that your most senior people should be deciding on. And then they wonder why this fails.
One outbound metric most teams obsess about that doesn't matter.
Booked meetings.
Welcome back to the B2B Sales Blueprint by Fernball. I'm your host, Paul Perrott, co-founder and co-CEO of Fernball. Each episode, we talk to operators, founders, and revenue leaders about what actually drives B2B growth. The decisions, the experiments, the failures, the stuff-ups, the things you would never do again, and the things that lead to high-performing sales team. Today's guest is Ricky Pearl. Really excited to have Ricky here today. Ricky is the co-founder of Point of Strategy and has a deep background in all things sales, go-to-market, and outbound. He's been deep in the world of building and fixing revenue teams across Australia, helping B2B companies find, train, and support sellers in a way that actually stacks up commercially. Pointer, and I'll get you to give you a little bit more background, but Pointer works hands-on with outbound teams and sits right at the execution of sales execution, hiring, and enablement. So you're also involved very active in the ANZ go-to-market community. So so it's awesome to have you on today.
Thank you very much. I'm going to get you to do an intro like every day when I walk in.
So give us you actually have a super fascinating kind of history. So talk us through a little bit of your journey that leads to you sitting in this chair beside me. So,
all right, well, I won't go back to when I was 6 years old and had my first lemonade stand. Although South Africa definitely plays an interesting part in a sales journey. Maybe I'll just start with Pointer.
Yeah.
We started off as this outsourced sales agency.
Yep.
People would outsource their cold calling, their SDR, BDR function to us. And we did really well. I think over the years we supported over 100 Aussie startups.
Well, that's when you and I first got to know each other,
And 100 Aussie seed or Series A companies, that's a decent chunk of them. And those that we didn't support, we maybe were involved in advising them through their VC or through portfolio or through one of the accelerators. And we got to see the inside of the sales teams of all of these companies.
And a lot of high growth,
a lot of successes and a lot that didn't, more that didn't work out, if we're looking back in hindsight. And we really got to see the insides of how these teams work, how these companies work, how they operate, what's good in a go-to-market. We since shifted the model to supporting companies built in-house. Because that was like a big thing for us in the outsourced. I'd wake up any given day, the phone call saying, Ricky, mate, I saw you saw the AFR. We've just raised 20 million. Couldn't have done this without you. I'm going to tell every single person I know to use your service, but we're hiring 15 team members. We're going in-house. Goodbye.
Yeah, so you've been, well done, Ricky. You've been so successful.
Thank you and goodbye. So hold on.
We have a problem.
We'll help you with the in-house team. And that was the right move for most companies, was to build in-house eventually.
Exactly.
So now we help them test outsource. But otherwise build in-house and also not just sales now, we're doing all go-to-market.
And you've obviously built both huge capability, reputation, helped a lot of companies. What is it why outbound? What is it, did you, if you cast back to the 21-year-old you, is this where you would have seen yourself as a small business owner? Well, not a really small business.
Yeah, small's the accurate description. Honestly, I'd say it was. My mother,
because you've always been super entrepreneurial.
And my mother would always Ricky, you should be an engineer. So if I love engineering, I'll own an engineering firm. Or you should be a doctor. I go, well, maybe I'll own a hospital. It was always just entrepreneurship was always my passion. And helping these companies achieve that is really what drives me in doing this. They've got these amazing technologies. And it could change the world, or it could also just turn to nothing because they couldn't sell it.
And how did you, because what I love about talking to you is just the insight of the experience that, what was the defining kind of experience you had that helped you get really, instinctively good at it?
I think I like understanding things.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Yep.
And I approach every single problem with the assumption that I don't know the answer.
Yep.
And I think that's the fundamental difference here. Outbound is a science.
Yeah, okay.
Sure, there's art to it. Like absolutely,
yeah.
there's art, there's messaging, there's framing, there's a lot that goes into it. But if you approach it saying, I don't know, let's figure this out, we always get to better outcomes.
And what is that? Because you're iterating, you're experimenting, you're testing. Like, why do you think that's so important?
There's so many different variables in your outbound campaign. Who you're approaching, which different I see, which of your ideal client profiles, what are you saying to them? Which of your pains are you pushing on, or which of the benefits are you talking about? Which channels are you on? Like there's all of these variables. And if you gave a scientist in this random, you took it to a scientist to test a new medicine, and you said, hey, we're changing 30 variables every child, they'd be like, we absolutely, this isn't how you run a trial. And so just bringing some of that through into outbound meant we could actually work out how to fix this, how to get it to work. And when it worked, there's just something instantly gratifying about outbound. I can pick up the phone right now. We could pause this podcast. I could make a phone call and potentially have a lead. If I wanted to do the same with search engine optimization.
That's an idea for a future podcast. We can get you cold calling live.
Well, I haven't made a cold call in a long time. I still make a few. But there's something instant about it, which is why startups need it. You can get instant answers, whereas your search engine optimization, your other lead gen strategies, more long tail.
No, I think that's 100% true. So I guess the world of outbound has changed dramatically over the last 5 years. Like it feels like it's changing at a really rapid pace. In some ways, I guess, from your perspective, what's actually changed and what hasn't?
So this is so interesting because we now have stats across 100 different companies, at least over the last 3 years. And the stats are pretty comparable.
Really? In what way?
In that...
So surely kind of connects have gone down and...
No, it really hasn't. Huh. It's this cat and mouse game. It's like spy versus spy. And absolutely, I think the best saying is that the more things change, the more things stay the same. The more technology advances and there's easier ways to get hold of people, the more the noise builds up. The more you have to find new and unique ways to cut through the noise. And obviously, if you're trying to do what worked 3 years ago now, that has decreased. But if you just said, hey, what was the top 5% doing 3 years ago, and what are the top 5% doing now, everything's pretty comparable.
So, okay. So the obvious question, what are the top 5% doing? So,
well, different per region, different per market, different per client profile. A lot of it comes down to the unit economics, which motion you can afford to run. Ultimately, nothing beats the phone.
Right.
Nothing beats the phone. All sales is a conversation between humans. It's like being able to influence decisions, talk to people about their problems. The mode of communication might change, but the phone is still, and particularly if your audience is in Australia, the average connect rate across every campaign we've run for the last 2.5 years is 17.5%. That means you dial 5 times, someone picks up the phone. Now that's the average. Once you start actually applying better data strategies, you can be up to 40%. One of our clients who uses your data, and that's not why we're here, but was up to 40%. I pick up, if my wife phones me, I have less than a 40% pickup rate. I'm in a meeting and my phone could be ringing now. Like 40% is astronomical. It is just so effective.
I think one thing that really resonates with me, I think the noisier the world is becoming, the more kind of noise in your inbox. Like I actually think conversations and connections are just, and it's a bit obvious, but it's just, I think people miss that fundamental truth about selling.
And the barrier to outbound, the true barrier isn't the technology. It's the psychology. It's hard. It's the rejection. It's the fact that people would rather do 1,000 things that feel better than pick up that phone and be rejected. And that's what makes this channel so wide open in this country. And it works, and people are polite on the phone. And once you're in that conversation, it's fine.
So phone works, but how do you think about kind of multi-channel? Because we had the era, and you had the year of sequencing, and now if you can send 1,000 emails, you can send 10,000, you can send 100,000. Like, how do you think about sequencing?
So much noise in the inbox,
right?
So much noise in the inbox. Absolutely, you can do it well. LinkedIn as well got busy.
Yeah.
You can do it well. What we're finding, and this is getting quite technical, I don't know if you want it. 2 years ago, last year even, sequencing meant that the whole was greater than the sum of the parts.
Yep.
If I try to get someone on LinkedIn and on the phone.
Yeah, because that's conventional wisdom, right? So you multi-touch points.
You're trying to get hold of them everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, this person wants to speak to me, or I'm important.
There's a bit of brand awareness.
And you'd have a higher overall success rate if you omni-channeled. At the moment, when I see that, and for a lot of people, when they see that, they know they're just being sequenced.
Yeah.
It's ubiquitous now. I'm just in their system.
I was fascinated by that, and it makes sense, but I'd actually never really thought about it before.
And so we're actually seeing the whole now is lesser than the sum of the parts, and we're finding channel specialization being still need omni-channel. Why? Because some people don't answer the phone. Email's better for some. Certainly, email's maybe the only one that's economical, depending on your average contract value, things like that. But we say take your primary, typically the phone, if you've got the right average contract value, if it makes sense. Phone someone 3 to 5 times. If they haven't picked up the phone after 5 calls, they're probably not going to answer. Now look at your other channels. And you can still include phones in there. Maybe they were away, things like that. But pick your primary, tap that out, and then move to your rest.
So I guess just setting that down, phone first, and then fail back to sequences, really simplistically.
100%. And look, it gets nuanced. When we say phone first, that doesn't mean you haven't sent a LinkedIn connection request necessarily, because if you do want to get onto LinkedIn, maybe you need that, and it takes them a week to accept. And the volume changes, how you might approach things. There's a lot that goes into it, but phone is by far the most effective channel if you can afford it. Okay, all right. So now, we're going to get super practical here. So because you are the guru, so I'm a potential client, someone you're advising. I'm looking to set up an SDR function. So all right, Ricky. How do I think about the economics of this? Where do I start? So, ultimately, we're trying to reverse engineer this, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Right? I normally start on.
This is free consulting for me, so this is going to be good.
I'd normally start on the first question, which is the context.
Okay. Yep.
Are we currently looking for business fundamentals? I.e., you need a positive ROI from this.
Yep.
Or are we looking for secondary benefits? Maybe your VCs told you just need to get some traction, you need to get some use cases.
Yep.
You're not looking at the unit economics of customer acquisition costs.
I'm focused on unit economics.
If you're focused on unit economics, you've got to say, all right, from closed one, how many deals did I need to get the closed one? How many demos did I need? How many discovery calls did I need? How many, work it all the way back. They probably won't have that. Right? Usually they haven't done it.
So how many times you have a conversation where someone has that kind of set of metrics in their head? So,
they may have a hypothesis.
In
which does it say great? How much fat is in here? What happens if it's half? I would test that against what I've known. When they come to me and they're like, oh, look, we're going to have a 40% connect rate and we're going to have this. And I'm like, either you're very special or we're not going to get this.
You're a superhuman.
Let's run this through with some other numbers. Or we might say, let's test this. Hey, let us get our team on. Let us call 16 hours a day for a month. Let's just validate this before we go to market and hire.
And so what... So and we chatted about this before, it's a super interesting idea that actually, because when you start out, it's hard to know kind of what you can build your 10-line spreadsheet, right? You can go, we're going to make...
CFOs will love this. Oh, we're going to get this kind of conversion rate and we're going to be, rocket ship to the moon by February.
So when you're running a test, what are you testing? So
there's 2 parts where outbound typically falls down. So the first is they don't know how much effort is required to get the conversation, to get a lead, to get a discovery call, whatever that might be. That's the first piece that's easier to measure because I can make 100 phone calls this week.
So that's and see how many to the book meeting. Is that
the way?
Booked
meeting.
Attended
meeting. Booked meetings are attended meeting. Right?
Let's call it attended meeting.
That's an easy one to measure. The second one that's harder to measure is your outbound leads are a different flavor to your inbound leads. They're at a different part of their buying cycle. Your sales cycle is going to be longer, different level of intent. The difference is I know they're an ideal client because I chose to call them.
But they're just not necessarily ready to buy.
100%. So your sales cycle is also unknown, and that can have a material impact.
So both in length of cycle and close rates, is that how to think of that?
Both of those could be quite different. We've had plenty of clients that incredible booking rates where the concept of what they were selling was so strong that everyone loved it, including their VCs. And then when they demoed it, or the clients were looking like, this isn't just doing what they said it would, so they couldn't close. So there are those two big pieces. Now, we also know some broad averages. Broad averages are like what average contract value will make this make sense.
I guess that was my next question, because that's the question that I'm sure you've been asked 100 times. So
for us, it's anything under $15,000 annual contract. You really have to scrutinize the numbers. You really have to dig into the numbers because now the conversion will determine if you're going to get positive ROI here. And again, this is a strategic decision with your CFO and your CEO based on, well, what kind of a customer acquisition cost are we going to accept? What's the customer payback period willing to accept? Because that's a huge factor. But broadly, under 15 grand, you're going to have to play out these numbers to see, does this make sense? Because one deal a month, maybe you're losing money. 15 deals a month, you're obviously in the green. Over 50,000 in your annual contract, and it will almost always make sense.
Is there a number because obviously, is there a number of closed, and it depends a bit, I guess, on how much you're spending on your closing part of the funnel, but ignore that for the moment. Is there if you have an SDR, do you have a rule of thumb of how much closed ACV they should be kind of generating? Like, is there because that's kind of where the maths, kind of comes from in a sense.
Yeah. Look, and it's tough because your outbound function isn't this direct close. Your account executives, you might say, look, they want their quota's got to be 10x their base. 5x their on target earnings or in that region. And we've got some calculators up on our website that gives you ballparks. This is so much higher up in the funnel that ultimately this is a marketing function being performed by sellers. And so you've got to understand the conversion all the way through the funnel for it to make sense. And you're more looking at your marketing kind of revenue architecture and economics than you are your sales.
So what's the biggest mistake? So there's some stuff around understanding the metrics. Like what's the, I'm starting off with the machine, what's the biggest mistake that you would caution me against? So
the first is following the companies that aren't looking at unit economics.
Right.
So just for anyone listening here, where I say they're not looking at solid unit economics, they may be on this rocket ship getting anywhere from 10 to 20 times multiplier on their revenue. So if they could get a 10 grand a month contract, that's 120 grand a year in revenue. That is anywhere between 1.2 to 2.4 million dollars they're going to get in the next capital raise in 12 months. They're happy to spend 600 grand to bring in 120 grand's worth of revenue.
An AI startup, probably.
That doesn't make any sense from a classical economics perspective. It makes sense when you're on this journey. So the advice that you often get are from these rocket ships that are doing so well. They haven't turned a profit in 5 years. Very different. The second big problem, I think, is they aren't getting the right people in to do the work.
Right.
This is probably the biggest problem we see. They get in an SDR, let's just say 18 to 21 years old, young, hungry, ambitious. And they say like, here's the phone. This is who we want to talk to. Go. And you've now given the most junior, most inexperienced person in your company the responsibilities to define your market, define the message, define the value proposition, to define the outbound strategy, the things that your most senior people should be deciding on. And then they wonder why this fails. Like this is a highly strategic senior leadership function or strategy that needs to be executed by your most junior to the degree that they should just be a voice actor on the phone.
So I'm in lockstep with you on this. So how do you, and probably people go, I get that. But so practically, what are the practical implications of that? If I'm going to do it, I need to have a team of 3 or 4 with a leader. I need to hire a leader. Like what are the...
there's so many ways.
So what's the practically when I'm starting? How do I'm with you, but practically what do I do?
So practically, I'd say like never hire an SDR until you know the ROI you're going to get from it.
Yeah, okay.
How do you get there? Well, the CEO could make calls.
Yeah, yep.
That's fine.
Yep.
Right? Like the head of sales can make calls. You can get your account executives to make calls. And then there's a lot of arguments.
Yep.
Like we got to remember, outbound is a function. It's a job to be done.
Yeah.
Who does it?
Yeah.
Whether you have dedicated staff doing it or existing staff doing it. I've had heads of marketing that are cold calling.
Yeah.
Like no problem. But understand the ROI. How do you get there? You got to do it.
Yeah.
Now we've got to refine our messaging because when the CEO calls and he's like, "Hi, I'm the CEO of Firmable. I wanted to talk to you about something," they're going to get a very different response. You'd get a different response to someone else. So
I'm like, this LinkedIn outreaching's easy.
Exactly.
I don't know what you guys complain about.
And every CEO hiring their first sales leader is like, "I'm closing 50% of deals, and I'm only doing this 20% of the time. You're going to do this 100% of the time. Therefore, you can 5x what I'm doing."
Yeah.
Doesn't work, right?
Yep.
So they've just got to test and measure and work out what's the right messaging, what's the right channel, what's the right strategy. Let me build these numbers. When that all makes sense, all right, we can go higher and we can pour accelerant on this fire. And until you know that, all right, we are testing.
Yep.
This is an academic study to understand, to iterate this through to success. Now, you may have all the right indications that this will be a success and you know it will be a success. Like if you came to me saying, "Hey, Ricky, we want to hire an SDR," I wouldn't say like, "Look, you don't know your numbers." I'd say, we know from all of your competitors, from everyone in the industry, from your average, like this is going to work. We still have to work through the messaging. We still have to work through the channels. We still have to work through all of it, but we know it's fine. We can make an educated guess. We can go straight to hire and work that out.
And we've obviously built an SDR team that I'm really proud of. And we get some really good traction, getting good connect rates, getting really good close rates. I think there's a few things we've realized. One is, and we sell to salespeople, obviously. Salespeople pick up the phone, which is kind of helpful. So that's kind of an obvious thing. But selling to doctors who don't pick up their phone, harder, right? So that's kind of one thing that I think people sometimes do. The other thing is, I think we're really fortunate that it's easier to explain what we do and the pain point resonates. So like
classic.
So are there some value props that are harder?
First of all, there's some value props or services that are much harder to sell. There's also some personas that are harder to sell to. You're selling to a doctor, very difficult. If you're trying to get hold of the practice manager, maybe a bit easier.
Yeah.
But I would say, first of all, spot on. Now let me think, like, what's the right way to frame this? So in terms of which persona is harder, do they answer the phone?
Yep.
That's the first thing. Or do they respond on the channel that you're looking for? Like when you cold email a CIO, this cold email hits the inbox, they see this as a violation. It's their job to stop the cold email. Right. So you're starting off this conversation with a
you're on the
threat,
back foot, right? So.
Right. The second thing is the messaging. Is it unique? Is it or if you're an MSP and you're cold calling someone saying, "Hey, have you ever thought about outsourcing your IT?" No one's going to sit there going like, I've been waiting for this phone call. This is so interesting.
If only I thought of that.
Whereas if you phone and say, "Hey, did you actually know that you could achieve X, Y, and Z with this novel solution that didn't previously exist?"
Okay.
Oh, that is interesting. So novel solutions. Are you
something interesting, something I haven't thought of?
Outbound, if you look at it where it is in the funnel, your marketing funnel, it's more that awareness phase. Maybe into the education phase.
So it's tell me something I don't know. Is there an element of that to it?
So things that are new,
novel
absolutely converts better than something that is like ubiquitous. Everyone knows it. It's not interesting. That's the first.
So if you're selling in an industry like a managed services, a bit more traditional, so you can still make it work, but you've just got to be very thoughtful about your messaging. Is that the takeaway?
You absolutely have to, and your strategy.
Yeah.
So for example, calling into MSP, I'd probably just be calling saying, "Hey, look, I know you already know about this. All I want to know is when does your contract come up for your renewal?" Let's say it's September. So do you mind if I give you a call in July? Just to see how you're going. Maybe we'll throw in a cheeky quote that you can use to get your existing vendor down. No problem. And you call them back in July. You've got a warm reception. You know you're already servicing them. Those will convert at a decent rate compared to the first cold call. So there's lots. There's gifting strategies, still lots to do. The other thing, just to add on that point, so there's the actual persona, there's how novel or interesting the solution is, how simple it is to articulate a specific pain versus like a general thing like, "Hey, we can help you consult on all of these different problems," makes it harder. And finally, the level of context required for the call.
Yeah, okay.
If you're calling a chief information security officer to talk about state-level threats, you can't have an 18-year-old who goes like, hey, are you worried about cybersecurity? And you're calling a chief information security officer, they'll be like, no, bugger off, like you're wasting my time here.
Yeah.
So it works better when less context is required by the BDR.
And one of the things that we talk a little bit about is, so multi-threading into an org. Like, so you know that, you know, the CRO is the decision maker. How do you think about going to the account exec first, or how do you?
This is also classic. Like, this is just the strategy, right? Everyone knows, hey, there's a list of strategies that typically work. Right? We're going to go top down. We're going to go bottom up. We know who the decisions makers are, the personas are. Now, also, often people don't know this.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily know how their buyer buys. They're very early stage. And so these are parts of the problems that they make. But sure, if you're selling Firmable, for example, calling up an account executive or an SDR or anyone in the team saying, hey, how do you currently do the data? Is that a problem? And you start understanding the pain.
Completely.
When you phone the head of sales saying, hey, mate, look, I was actually talking to John. He mentioned it takes him about 2 hours a day worth of research. How's about...
So we get 2x the connect rate on an AE versus CRO. Kind of obvious.
Yeah.
But then if you do the AE first, you unpack the account a little bit, and then you're having a very different discussion when you get
often
to the sales
in enterprise that's bottom up. But all of these are strategies. These are the same strategies your account executive should be taking.
100%.
In their multi-threading. 100%. Like, this isn't new or novel to anyone who's done it before. Yeah. For those that haven't done it, they don't even know what they're testing.
So do you recommend that? How prescriptive should you be in who a rep calls, both on an account or an SDR, both at an account level and at a contact level? Like, do you give them accounts and let them go for it, or do you say, well, we want you to? How prescriptive should you be, do you think?
I think I've seen both work.
Yep.
However, some companies are not being prescriptive because they don't know.
Yeah.
So they're like, go figure it out. And that's the problem.
I 100% agree with you.
So I might give someone flexibility. So one of our clients, for example, that we do the outbound for, they want like the chief risk officer, business continuity, things like that. Sometimes we can't get their phone number. But I can get the phone number for the CFO. So we'll call the CFO, but we know we're angling for an internal referral.
Yeah, no, completely. No, I think that's...
and there's also a big difference between enterprise. You know, how much are you doing account-based, or are you just targeting a persona?
Completely.
How you build your list is the strategy that you're taking. So like we haven't even started talking about the data piece, but that's probably the biggest piece in all of this.
Yeah, completely. And then I guess kind of moving in that direction, what would your advice be in terms of tech stack? Like what's the infrastructure you need to make this work? So
I like when a rep can sit down and the jobs they need to do are in front of them.
Yep, agree.
They don't have to sit there going, who should I call, and think about it.
Yep.
It really, that's a big piece of it. They have to have the right data.
Yep.
If you don't have the right data, you are burning through the biggest expense in all of your sales organization, which is time, your salary.
Yeah, people miss that, don't they? People absolutely.
They'll try to save $150, but let their rep set time on fire trying to do something in an ineffective
snip
way.
that little bit and I'm going to use that. So.
You need an effective dialer. You need an effective dialer. You need conversational intelligence.
Yep.
Because what you're doing as an outbound rep, you're getting market intelligence. All of these objections should be going through to marketing so that they can understand. If your website isn't being influenced by the conversations your SDRs are having, your revenue engine is not optimized.
What tools practically would you say so I 100% agree with you on the conversational intelligence piece. Like, have you got any recommendations on tools?
Listen, like Gong is stellar. Like it is a phenomenal piece of kit. It's also a very expensive piece of kit. And at the moment, with the way AI is going, there are a lot of you can build it yourself. In fact, we just put a blog up on our website.
I saw that. I actually read that the other day.
You could build this yourself between Superbase and your LLM for like $100. And have it done for you in a very similar way. It's not going to be as good as Gong. But there's plenty. There's Gong. Your Aircall has them baked in at the moment. And I think Aircall's a good dialer for anyone listening who's worried what dialer should we use.
Yeah, because that's actually more complicated than you think, kind of getting that dialing infrastructure right. So numbers and all sorts of stuff. It's a lot more complicated than people imagine.
It really is. And also, if you don't know what you're looking for, like, hey, dialing from a mobile number will have a higher connect rate than dialing from a landline. Things like that. you have to know, we've had companies call us going, our connect rate's terrible. And I look at the connect rates and I look at 3 months ago's connect rate or between reps, I go, this rep's phone number is burnt. It's coming up as spam. Like there's a lot that goes into the technicals, and getting your RevOps set up right will absolutely influence how outbound works.
Awesome. So changing gears a little bit, you mentioned hiring before. So, and you and I have chatted hiring a lot. So talk me, and I guess we're kind of in the SDR world a little bit. So how do you hire SDRs? Talk me through what your playbook is. Bit of free consulting here again.
Sure. We kind of have a strategy that we'll never hire an SDR with experience.
Yep. Why?
It's not a firm rule. There's exceptions. And
so why? So,
if an SDR had great experience and was very good, typically, on average, there will be an internal promotion. Companies keep the best. So the fact that there wasn't an internal promotion is already an indication there may have been something wrong here. Maybe they weren't that great. That's the first part. The second part is because they've done the role, they are going to interview better than everyone else. They know exactly what to say. And so it becomes harder to assess. So you are more likely. You are more likely to make a bad call on them because they are harder to assess relative to everyone else.
That's interesting.
So for now, we've got 2 reasons why you're more likely to make a bad decision. The third is that the SDR's a crap job. People don't love it. It's a very hard job.
It's hard.
And so your tenure is typically short. They want to be in the seat for 12 months, 14 months, 18 months. And if they've already served 9 months of that, in their mind, that tenure counts. And so they're looking for this internal promotion quicker. Sticking. 6 months in, they're going to be taking an account executive role somewhere else. So your tenure is going to be shorter on them. So there's another reason. I could probably go on.
All right.
But also if they didn't succeed and it was the company's fault.
Which happens, right? That absolutely happens.
All the time.
Absolutely.
But then how good was their experience? Does this increased experience actually add to them? Because unlearning is harder than learning from scratch. So there's another reason. Like it keeps adding on. There are times we'd recommend hiring with experience. And I think it takes an experienced recruiter or hiring manager, not recruiter, hiring manager to work out exactly.
So what are you looking for? So we've clearly...
Attributes.
What attributes?
For an SDR, it is attributes. Curiosity, humility, drive, ambition. Like these are classical sales things. And also understand you're hiring your future account executive. So you want business acumen, you want IQ, you want smart, good culture, good fits. And you can find this in so many ways.
So how do you test for it? Like what are you looking for?
Looking for transferable skills. Like if you showed me someone who's performance sports at a high level, I know. We'll find cyclists, for example. I'm like, this person wakes up at 4:30 in the morning in the cold to do something that's unpleasant for the sake of something that is long-term rewarding. Like already all of that is transferable to this role. I know they have 80% of the attributes they need to succeed. Other than that, across all of the reps, I believe for BDRs in particular, almost anyone can do the job. If they're willing to pick up the phone and they're brave and they're humble and they're curious, they can do the job. So I think actually more important is what does your enablement look like? What does your coaching and your management and your leadership look like? A lot more than what's the rep you're hiring.
And I think that's really true. So how do you think about enablement and coaching? Like what is and that's a whole podcast in itself, of course, but just any kind of quick takeaways? So
the quick takeaway for us, and this obviously becomes more relevant for the more senior the role goes, but for every single job, there's a job to be done. There's a job to be done. There's a skill that's needed to do the job, and there's attributes needed, that overlay that. You've got to either hire with that skill, or you've got to coach that skill and train that skill. Those are your 2 options, or you're going to have a skill gap that you can fall into. Most companies don't have accurate ways to articulate what skills they need. They don't have accurate ways to test and measure that before hiring, and they don't have ways to close that afterwards. And then they wonder why.
So give me an example of how a skill and how you would kind of measure it, and so.
I could give you the most basic. Most basic. You're hiring an account executive. This person needs to be able to do good demos. They need to be able to do good discovery calls. They need to be able to build good business cases. 3 very simple, the most basic functions for an account executive. Most interview processes will not even test those 3 because you can't. So you're going to give them 3 physical exercises. That's like a 7-stage hiring process. You'll test one of those.
No, I agree.
The rest, you're just giving them questions and answers. Hey, do you know how to run a good discovery? Well, yes, I do.
Yes, Ricky, I've done a couple. I'm quite good at it.
Right. So you can't actually validate the skill. So those skills you might have to validate in another way. Do you have a way to validate that? Most don't. They haven't thought this through. Do they have a way to validate it post-hire?
Yep.
They don't. So they just, all right, this is your onboarding is your probation period. They're still not working through validating.
When we chatted about this before, this I was like, oh, that is so obvious, but such a good point. Like you get that it's hard to have validated in an interview, right? And I get you can't do 10 interviews, but you've got no excuses for not being dialed in on it when they're actually employed, right? So
we build a list of, say, these 50 skills. We've got a list of 100 skills. We'll say for this role, this person needs 50.
Yeah.
We'll talk to them about these 50. Yeah, these are the 50 skills required for the job.
Yeah.
How do you think you are in these things?
Yep.
And they might say, yeah, no, not so much. We'll say, great. We'll then also validate some of these.
Yep.
And we can validate it in the interview,
yep.
which is hard, but there's some can be. Some can be validated through assumption.
Yep.
Hey, if you worked at Gartner for 5 years, you know how to run a discovery call, right?
Yep.
We can do some through resumes or references.
Yep.
I could call you up, hey, I saw this person work for you. Tell me how were they with certain things.
I guess you're asking a really specific question. So.
Oh, I could validate. I could ask, hey, do you mind if we talk to the client on this call?
No, you're not asking that question. You're asking.
Absolutely not. So some can be validated through references and the rest is left to validate post-hire.
Yeah.
So their probation period becomes, hey, you need to be certified in these 50 things within the 3 months for your probation to end. And if you can't, we're going to coach these, and if you can't, you performance managed out.
Yeah. Okay. And and I just think, and if you do that in the right way, culturally, that's an empowering thing, not a negative thing, right?
This is professional development at the highest level. You're being certified as capable and competent by your employer. We actually issue certificates that you are great at these skills and good enough at these skills. But it's this light enablement program saying, hey, you're not going to be perfect at everything.
Yeah.
How can we work on these
It's the pathway. What do I need to do?
Every rep, from your BDRs all the way through to your head of sales, has different things that they're working on and can be coached on those. And it brings a really strong culture of performance improvement. When you see Roger Federer after a tennis game, he's not sitting there wanting everyone to pat him on the back going, great job, great job. He's probably asking his coach, what can I do better?
What can I do better?
And if you don't have that in your org.
So that's a great question. And I don't think we talk enough about the cultural of great sales organizations. And you've seen a lot of sales organizations. What defines culturally a great sales organization from a not so great one?
Obviously all defined by the leaders primarily. But I think it's that high performance attitude. That like every single discovery call is an opportunity to learn, an opportunity to practice, an opportunity to improve. How could I do better? Do they review their calls? Do they review their meetings? Are they looking back at what could be improved? And yes, great, we're doing well. Okay, all very nice. What can we do better? And that's seen as a benefit. They want that because improving. And any professional athlete would be like that. And when you see those cultures in sales organizations, you're like, these people will go from strength to strength.
So, how has the world of AI changed how you think about hiring? Has it changed anything?
To a degree, it makes some of the screening and processing a lot easier. On the other hand,
makes applying a lot easier too, of course.
It makes applying a lot easier, so it increases the noise. I don't think it's fundamentally solving the main problems at the moment, which is this person capable of doing the job? Where are they not capable? And does our company have the ability to coach that? To close that gap? Can they learn it on the job? How are we going to do it? Most people, I bet you the same, I was the same, most hiring managers have had absolutely no training at how to hire. We all say what we're doing a gut check.
Completely.
We're all just going based off gut and based off experience, which is the worst way to do it.
No, 100%. So changing tax completely, and I'm about to embarrass you a little bit, but actually one thing I think you do amazingly well is your own personal kind of founder brand. So,
thank you.
And it's not an easy thing to do.
No. So, I spend all my time on LinkedIn and I hate it.
It's actually a very un-Australian thing to do in a way. Like it's culturally a little bit, so I guess I just wanted to ask you, Adam, I'm just curious as to how you think about it, what you do, what strategies you have. So, because I personally think you do it in a really natural way.
Thank you. I think it's the same mentality you need in sales. There's a lot of that, which is can you remove your ego from this whole big thing? And I've got my own tricks that work for me. The one is I try to take pride. Like Ricky, you are proud of the fact that you are resilient. that you don't care about people's opinions that don't matter to you.
Yep.
Like these are all the things that you pride yourself on.
Yep.
Are you living up to that?
Yeah.
You know, that's the one. And two is like, you know, you'll do anything for your family. I'll take a bullet for my kids.
Yeah.
But I'm not willing to embarrass myself on the internet. That's a step too far.
Yeah.
So like, I think it's the mindset of it all. And I also just remind myself, like when I watch a movie and there's a bad character that's acting, you're like, this is just the character.
Yeah.
You don't know if this person, anything about them, and you enjoy them as a character. And I'll see like people who aren't good looking playing great roles.
Yeah.
And you'll be like, but they played that role well. You're like, I'm just playing a role.
Yep.
People are judging me for the role I'm playing.
Yeah.
They don't know me, and I don't really care.
Yeah, and I think what you also do really naturally is contribute back to the community. So you're active in Pavilion and lots of other places, and I think that helps. Presumably,
look, I'm community minded. It's how I was brought up. I was brought up, look after your community, and you need a little bit of chutzpah.
Yeah,
these are these are things that you have to have. But in general, maybe it's a personal belief, but I think you give, and then you'll get.
No, and I think at the risk of embarrassing you, I think that kind of when we first got to know each other, you were giving to me, like you were just I'd sit down and was having coffee with you, and and there was nothing, you're not getting anything back, but it was just so.
It's all you win in the long run.
Yeah,
and that's these are attributes that sellers need as well.
Yeah,
right?
So excellent.
Thank you.
So rapid fire questions. So we'll close on that. So one outbound metric most teams obsess about that doesn't matter.
Booked meetings.
Oh, okay. Yep. Why?
Well, a booked meeting isn't an attended meeting, and an attended meeting is an attended meeting with someone who showed up with intent and interest.
One outbound habit that used to work that's now hurting results?
Automating email.
Yep. Okay. Best first line you've heard on a cold call?
The best one, there's too many. I lie. The best ever was someone I used to work with, person answered the phone and they said, mate, you're honestly harder to get hold of than Donald Trump. That was the opening line. Yeah. And I would not recommend anyone ever says that, but it worked for him.
No, very good. Most influential sales leader, sales mentor in your career journey?
That's a very interesting one. I think I've taken a lot of inspiration from. Oh, jeez, this is a tough question.
Yeah, well, it wasn't on the run sheet either. So
no. I've taken a lot of inspiration from a lot of different sources around like psychology and human psychology.
Yeah,
and I'll enjoy like an Adam Grant book. Like I'll take a lot out of that. But I'd say like Winning by Designs, Jaco, and what they've done has been really inspirational. Just good question. I can't answer it.
No, the Winning by Design. That's I think just the structure in that I think is really helpful.
I really love a good structure.
Yes.
and when you see someone,
you're a man who likes frameworks, like myself.
Yeah, when you see someone take all this mess and just put it neatly, you're like, oh, that's beautiful.
All right, one thing AI will never replace in sales.
Like how somebody makes you feel.
Yeah. So I think on that note, I think we're a wrap. So that has been awesome, Ricky. So thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
You've been very generous over the years and very generous again sharing your wisdom. So I think what I think today really shows is that outbound isn't about doing more. It's about being really thoughtful about what you're doing the right things with the right economics, the right people, and the right systems. So thanks for being direct and practical, and
thanks for having
not
us.
sugarcoating it. And I'm sure if anyone wants to chat to you about all things outbound, you're just. What's the best way to get in touch with you?
I mean, on our website, pointerstrategy.com. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Find my phone number and phone me. I always enjoy that.
Would be on Firmwell,
for anyone listening to this, I thoroughly enjoy talking about this. So if somebody wants to sit and have a conversation with no obligation to buy anything, they really just want to work through the numbers, like this is what I do for fun.
Awesome. So thanks for listening to the B2B Sales Blueprint by Firmwell. We'll see you next time.